IVF or ICSI. First, to understand both are different, and ICSI is much superior compared to IVF. Don't go for IVF. So now let's step into the fourth part of no IVF ICSI end to end, or say no IVF ICSI. So what is in this fourth part is like, what is the difference between IVF and ICSI? So as the word implicates, IVF means in vitro fertilization. ICSI means intracytoplasmic sperm injection. So we are coming across so many advertisements, pricing differences between IVF and ICSI. So as a couple, you should have a complete depth of understanding and clarity. What is IVF and what is ICSI? Is it both are different, and is there any impact on the outcome, on the results? Does it have any impact on the package cost? That is also most important. So let us have some detailed elaboration about IVF and ICSI. Having discussed about the last few videos about how the stimulation is happening, how the protocol is being fixed, and now going through this 8 to 10 days or 12 days of stimulation injections, and once the follicle has touched between 20 to 24 millimeters of size, we are going to give beyond an injection called trigger, which completes the maturity of that follicle and facilitate rupture. And that rupture can take place anywhere between 36 to 37 hours after administering this trigger injection. So the clinician will be very conscious and very alert that after giving this trigger injection, within 35 to 36 hours, they will pull out this eggs outside. It's called egg retrieval, egg pickup procedure. Say you need to understand why they are waiting that maximum duration. Just before impending rupture, they are retrieving the eggs outside. This is something very essential. They are taking some risk, because having taken so much of efforts for coming regularly for 8 to 12 days, taking this hormone injection, making all the eggs to grow inside, and should I have to take this risk for waiting for the last minute to retrieve this egg means we need to understand, because that maturity, if we retrieve the egg at the 30th hour or 25th hour, it will not attain that real maturity, and immature egg cannot be combined with the male partner sperm to get that fertilization happen. So this is nature. We need to understand. We need to really imagine how this divine has created this world, humanity and human population. Everything is very surprising and astonishing, and we need to wait for the 35th to 36th hour for that maturity to take place. Okay, so that maturity will have, so we are retrieving the eggs only between the 35th to 36th hour to ensure that maximum maturation of the eggs takes place. Okay, so that we get the eggs that is been retrieved will have maximum number of matured eggs. An immature egg and an hypermatured egg cannot be used with the male partner sperm to achieve this fertilization. So we need to have this clarity and understanding. So we moving forward on the 35th hour, some people will give small sedation and they retrieve this procedure. So after retrieving the egg, what is happening is, so they are going to keep this egg they are going to take it to the IVF lab, which is very close or the immediate next room to the egg pickup room. Operation theatre is very next to the IVF lab room, which has so much of stringent cleanliness and neatness, and it completely free from all these impurities or everything. It's a very sterile room, completely sterile room. What happens is, they use these eggs, they place these eggs in a dish, and they give they put around 40 to 50,000 sperms around each egg. So this is why they have taken this number of sperms, and why it is being adapted means, naturally when women going through this natural fertilization process, the follicle, the outer egg, follicle, we call it as follicle, the follicle, when it gets ruptured, the egg that is inside the follicle will get access to the fallopian tube, terminal portion of the fallopian tube. So the egg will come to the terminal portion of the fallopian tube, which is the widest part of the fallopian tube. The sperm which has gained access via this intercourse or relationship, enters to the cervix, gain access into the uterus by a good swimming technique. Only active motile sperms can swim and go up to all the way to the uterus, to the higher uterus, and then go into the fallopian tube. In the fallopian tube, it can go to the terminal portion where one egg will be surrounded by almost 40 to 50,000 sperms. What happens is, with the egg outer wall, the sperm head, all the sperms will try to get fused into this egg. Only one highly potent sperm will pierce a hole and gain access. So what happens is, only the head which contains the genetic part, the sperm head which contains the genetic part, will gain access to the egg. So what happens is, immediately the egg, subsequently none of the other sperm should get access. One egg and one sperm will give the zygote and the embryo. So what we need to understand, once that sperm enters into the egg, electrical energy is passed and the outer wall of the egg will become thickened. Thereby it prevents access for the other sperms to gain access. See the beauty of nature, see the creation. So how it has been happening. So the same way it been mimicked outside in the IVF lab. So they collect all the eggs, they discard the immature and the hypermature eggs. They call it as GV, M1 or hypermature eggs. So when you get the eggs, one of the topic is about report maintenance. In my discussion, it will come among these 27 topics. There I will elaborate all these things. Right now we understand, when you collect the egg, there will be 3 types: GV, M1 and M2. So why we are giving lot of emphasis and attention to get the eggs outside exactly between 35 to 36 hours, we should get maximum amount of M2 optimal matured eggs. The GV and M1 is a very immature eggs. So which even if you fuse the sperms, it will not convert into fertilization. So we are waiting for that duration. So the embryologist will see the eggs under the high-end microscopy and will identify the GV and M1 eggs. They will discard it. They will isolate the M2 eggs, maximum matured eggs, and they will put around 40 to 50,000 sperms within every egg, and they need to wait for 24 hours. After 24 hours, they remove all the surrounding sperms, and if they see under the high-end microscopy, they will see which are the eggs has completed the fertilization. So this is called real fertilization. This is what happening in some 30-40 years before the invention of ICSI. So what has happened is, during this season only, when an embryologist was practicing this IVF in a real time, accidentally he has put and injected the sperms. Instead of keeping it surrounding the egg, he has punctured the egg accidentally and introduced the sperms inside. So he was little bit disturbed, upset. So I have done a mistake. Instead of keeping the sperms around the egg, I injected the sperms into the egg. So it suddenly struck him. Why not I culture these eggs and see what is happening after 24 hours? To his surprise and shocking, he has understood that egg got fertilized. That is the starting point and invent of ICSI. So by merely and accidentally, it's a breakthrough for technology, medical advancement, because ICSI has completely revamped the success and it has completely made us more lazy, because we are all dependent on technology nowadays. So that ICSI, though it is accidental, it is once again a divine gift to make these people perpetuate and go for the next generation. That's it. So that ICSI has came. So now slowly after that accidental invention, they have made a lot of refine in the technology and research, and then they made a proper ICSI methodology. So once what happens is, the moving sperms, they want to inject one sperm. So what they did is, when they see the sperms in a high-end microscopy, they identify the best sperm, and that best sperm will be nicked in its tail so that the movement is being stopped, and that most healthy sperm will be loaded in a needle, and that needle will be pierced into the egg. So egg will be kept immobilized in one part of the chamber. The other pipette will load the sperm inside, and that pipette will puncture the egg without damaging the egg outer wall gently and release the sperm into the cytoplasm. So what happens is intracytoplasmic sperm injection. Cytoplasm of the egg injecting the sperm. So ICSI, IVF and ICSI. Now you understood the difference between these two. So IVF is a very simple procedure. It doesn't require a technology. It doesn't need an expertise. It doesn't need a consumables. So when you have to understand, IVF is a technology, olden technology. ICSI is definitely superior technology. Nowadays, there are some individuals out of interest, they are doing research. They do few embryos, few eggs with IVF and few eggs for ICSI. But to be honestly telling, when you spend the money, I will give ICSI for everyone, and that is the best methodology. So when it comes to the question of IVF and ICSI, if you are very young, if there is only a tubal problem, accidental tubal disconnection, or it is like a medically related tubal disconnection, you are otherwise completely healthy, you want complete to mimic natural, you can go through IVF. Otherwise, in majority of the childless couples, subfertile couples, ICSI is the methodology. If on the, say for example, the package difference, you are going to spend 1 to 1.5 lakhs, and what is the additional cost happening for ICSI? 25 to 30,000. The embryologist fees and the consumables that is going to incur. So for the cost of 20 to 30,000, should I have to compromise my results? So when you see an advertisement, IVF for 89, IVF for 99, immediately you should strike off your mind by they are meaning it only IVF, or ICSI comes with an additional cost, or they have meant it as ICSI. So you, the childless couples, should have that understanding and clarity. When I am stepping into this procedure, let me go for ICSI and cost effectiveness. Whoever is giving the best price for ICSI, competitive price for ICSI, without affecting the results with a technical expertise. Because if you go into the depth of it, if someone is having a full-time embryologist internally, then it is a monthly package. They don't need to pay the embryologist on a case basis. Automatically the cost comes down. It's a win-win situation. We can reduce the cost for ICSI, we can give the cost for ICSI at the cost of the IVF also. Because we are going to procure the consumables, we are going to procure the disposables, everything in a volume based. So we can curtail the cost, we can reduce the cost. So given a choice, IVF or ICSI, first to understand both are different, and ICSI is much superior compared to IVF, and ICSI has a much better success rates, and given the choice for an additional small cost, you need to step into ICSI, don't go for IVF. Let's meet in another interesting discussion on part 5, no IVF, no ICSI end to end, or say no IVF and no ICSI. Good day.